Hi YouTube, this is Joe Kelton with Kelton Cutlery. Visit me on the web, keltoncutlery.com. So today is going to be the second to the last video in our Diamond Stone series. This one's taken a long time to get through this, this whole series of stones and everything. But this is the last stone that we're going to do. And then I've got a kind of a conclusion video to wrap the whole thing up. And then it's on to different things. I won't say bigger and better because diamonds, or your sharpening stones, remember the sharpening stone that you use when you're making knives or when you're just using knives, that's the finishing touch. I mean, as a maker, I can give you a great knife, but if you don't maintain the edge, then that knife is only as good as the edge that you put on it. And we'll go into that more on the conclusion video. So this last stone, this is the stone that my buddy Dave got from one of the gun shows here in town. He called it the cheap Chinesium stone. Outdoors 55, Alex, he has got a really awesome, most of that dude's videos are just freaking awesome, and his photography skills are just, out of this world. I don't know if that's the same stone that he's got, but they did come in a set. The same grit ratings on the same set. Hang on just a second. The same grit ratings on the same set, so it very well could be the same stone. But this one doesn't have any sort of name. There wasn't no name on the wrapper, so we don't really know what it is. So we're going to check this stone for flat. We're going to take a look at it up underneath the microscope on high and low magnification. We're going to bring a burr up on the little 3-inch Skagel pocket knife that I make. Then we're going to finish out the edge. Then we're going to do a quick 50 cut test on the manila rope, and then look at the edge, after those 50 cuts. So the first thing is we got to check it for flat. Now, I'm really not expecting very much on this because, it's thin. It's super thin. Turn the handle the wrong way to lock the camera down. So let's make sure there's not really any trash on there. We'll put it on my granite plate. We've got our feeler gauges. The brass one is 10 thousandths and the silver one is 3 thousandths. Wow, pretty good so far. Oh, no. I've been trying not to put any weight on the tops of these stones, because I don't want to, no, there it goes. I don't want to throw off the results of the feeler gauge test, but this one is just so light. Okay, so the 3 thousandths one will come in or go in a couple of places, mostly on this side right here. So now we'll try the 10 thousandths side, or 10 thousandths feeler gauge. This is a whole lot better than what I was expecting. A lot better than what I was expecting. So the 3 thousandths feeler gauge will go in a couple of places, but the 10 thousandths feeler gauge will not. Which means that is a pretty dang flat stone for what it is. I don't know if the battery on the camera just timed out. It didn't die on us yet, but it's getting there. Hit the live button. Okay. I think that's about as clear as we're going to get. It's still, I wonder if my bowling ball isn't completely flat. because the last video was like that also, where this side of the picture was clear and this side wasn't. So I guess we just have to focus more on this side of the picture. But yeah, that's a pretty good distribution of diamonds. You know, I don't see any diamonds that are a whole lot bigger than the ones around it. And over in here, you see that there's a really good, you know, they look nice and clear, and they look sharp from here. Yep, so that looks pretty good. Now let's zoom in. All right, yeah, that looks really good here. So, first of all, we've got, you know, quite a few diamonds. There's a couple of little spots in here that don't have any diamonds on them, but it's not near as bad as the Harbor Freight stone was. This one is much closer to like the Husky stone, as far as how many diamonds are, you know, like in per square inch or whatever. Again, the dark spots that are inside the round white light, that round white line right there, that is where the diamond, you know, whatever it is, whether it's glue or if it's electroplating or whatever it is, however they adhere the diamond to the surface of the stone, that that white line there, that is going to be your, you know, the light glinting off of that substance. This fuzzy stuff right here, that's either shop dust or that's, you know, pieces of my skin from wiping across the top of the stone. But inside these white lines where the diamonds are, you can see the tops of them. There's a couple of them that have like little bitty bright specks, but the remainder of them look like they're probably nice and sharp because you can't see any light reflecting off of them. So let's go ahead and put an edge on this knife with this stone. Now this is one bad thing about this. It's a bad thing and it's a great thing, is that there's nothing to hold on to because there's just not much of the stone. So today what we're going to do is we're going to put the thumb kind of on the corner and then support this side up in here. It feels like it's cutting nice and fast. And there's a little bit of a burr. Let's raise a little bit more one. There we go. Okay, now remember this stone has had two, or it put one edge on a knife in the unboxing video, and now it's abrading the side of one knife, so it hadn't even put two edges on knives yet. So it's still a little on the gritty side because it hadn't been worn in yet. But you can see now this scratch pattern is from the Atoma because it was on the other side. We haven't touched this side with this stone yet, but you can see our burr coming up here. There's an awful lot of you know, shop dust or skin kind of caught up in there, but if you're looking at it like this, that edge is kind of, that burr is coming towards you right up in here. But you can see here, like that big old chunk right there, that, now granted, that big old chunk, it looks huge in the screen here, but that chunk is only like 3/1000 of an inch thick. And that's just from the stone just not being worn in and being a little bit too aggressive. But that right there is our burr. So let's go ahead and finish putting an edge on this thing. A little bit more to bring that burr out. It's kind of tough with this stone to judge the amount of pressure because up here, where the stone is mostly supported by my fingers, it's resisting the pressure, and then out here, that stone is flexing away because there's nothing under to support it. So the amount of pressure that I'm putting on here is a little bit harder to judge. There we go, there's our burr. Okay, now we should be nice and prepped and ready for removal. So if that right there is our blade bevel, that right there is about the angle that I was using to sharpen it. We're going to raise it up to right about there, and that's going to be the angle that we're going to shear the burr off with. Now see, that to me, even though that stone hasn't been broke in yet, feels a whole lot better than that Atoma stone, because there's not any of that, you know, catching. And I feel the burr's gone, so let's take a look at that edge. And that is a nice looking edge. There's a couple little divots in here, you know, from again the stone not being broke in, but our scratch pattern looks nice and even. Our teeth are not as aggressive looking a teeth as like the Sharpall or the DMT, but they're there. Again, that can just be the changing light in the shop. But yeah, that's a good looking edge. So now let's do some cutting with it. Okay, let's get rid of the rope from the Atoma test. Let's grab our coil of rope here. Again, we got about 4 or 5 pounds worth of force between my hand, the rope, and the wood, and the amount of force I got to put into it to kind of hold everything steady. About 15, 16, 16, 17. About 16 or 17. We'll put 17. Now we're going to do 20 more cuts. Okay, now let's measure 1 or 2 or 3. About 18. 18, 18, 19. So let's put 18. All right, now let's do 20 more cuts. That's 20. Oh, 21, 22, 22, 19, 19. So let's average that out at, say, 20, which is really not the best. It's not the best. It's right up there about with the worst. Okay, let's bring you back up here. Boy, that edge still, you know, it looks pretty good, except for the teeth are just dull. So what we got here is, see how nice and even this all looks? You can see a couple of the teeth, you know, the insides of the teeth, but they must not be near as sharp as what the teeth were that were created by the DMT and the Sharpall. because that edge is taking a lot more force to be able to cut the rope. Even though the edge looks really nice, it looks nice and smooth, it's just not cutting very aggressively. This right here has got a lot more of those white flecks in it, which I'm thinking are the ridges in between the scratches that are left by the stone. Yeah, I mean it's getting sharp, but the edge just isn't as aggressive as the other stones. So let's flip you around and talk to you face to face here. Okay, so this one right here, I think as far as the cut test, I would put it right up there with the Harbor Freight and the Atoma, and not near as good as the Husky. Yeah, that Husky did quite a bit better. So what I'm seeing in this is that, okay, now if you do decide to buy some of these, I can totally support that decision. I think Dave said he gave like 30 for these at the gun show. I think Alex over at Outdoors 55, I think he said he got them for like 17 bucks, something like that, for the whole set, like 5 of these things. From like 200, I think there was like a 200, a 300, a 400. I think one of them was fairly fine, like 1,000, somewhere around in there. So you're getting quite a lot of diamonds for your dollar there. The diamonds do look really nice and consistent, and they look nice and sharp underneath the microscope, but that edge that they put on there was really kind of, I mean, I won't say it was bad. It just wasn't as nice as some of the better stones. Now, whether that's because the diamonds are duller, or maybe they're spaced different, maybe there's something I'm not really seeing in there. But I'm just not getting the edges that I'm used to off of this type of stone. But that is really nice and light. That would fit in a backpack really nice and easy. If you had a hunting knife that was made out of softer steel, and you need to sharpen it up 1 or 2 times, to be able to get through an entire elk or something, that would be a really nice stone to carry with you. As nice and thin as that is, that would work really good on those ice auger blades that I was telling you about. When you're out ice fishing late season, and all the the ice has got sand drifted over or blown over it and then refroze, sand drifting over it and refroze, and you're chewing through sandpaper to get down to the water. Something that's real nice and thin like that, you can get up in there and sharpen those auger blades without having to dismount them off of the head, which is really handy. So I think something like that would work really, really good. And as cheap as they are, heck, if you were using them in an application like that, I bet you could probably go ahead and take these and, like with an abrasive cutoff wheel, cut that sewn up into smaller strips, and use those for, pocket stones, or heck, maybe even keep a piece in your wallet or something like that. So that is a very, very interesting stone, and one that, heck, I might buy a set of them just because, they could be really handy. But I don't think it's going to be my everyday type of stone. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. Visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.